Sharon the Warp Spinster here. Thank you for spending some time with me today. This will look familiar to anyone who was tuned in last week. This is from the leavings of a project that I'm ready to put all of the elements into blocks now, happy to say. But these are tiny little triangles that have come off some corner fold backs that I did. And some 2.5 inch square triangles too, half square triangle pieces. And now I have to secure these to the background, a permanent securing. Right now I have some school glue, water soluble glue stick that has just put them in place, and now I need to stitch across it or do something. As I mentioned last week, you could put like a fine tulle over it or some kind of really transparent sort of fabric. But I'm choosing to not do that, so I'm going to be stitching across it to secure them. Of course, the ends are still going to ravel. I know that. I'm okay with that. We're just playing. So I have some kitchen twine here, which I, of course, will not use, but it will be easy. Oh, it will be easier for you to see. But I could couch something, not this twine because it's the wrong color, but I have all kinds of funky yarns from my dyeing and spinning. Ooh, that could be fun to couch something. Anyway, I have this here because it'll be easier for you to see some of the options I might have for how I run those stitches. So I could, of course, just do them straight across. And mind you, I'm going to be doing quite heavy stitching across here because I want to secure these pretty well, and they're so scattered, which is what I like about them. I could also do diagonal lines. I could do, let me cut a couple lengths here. Bought this for a whole other hobby. And I could mix them, I could overlap them, I could do wonky curved lines, and I could mix them. So I could have some curved lines and then do a section that are straight lines and then another section that are curved. I could also do a section that's diagonal that kind of comes back on itself. I do it in the middle. I think I don't want them to overlap a lot. I think that's just too much. We'll see. It may become necessary if I'm not securing them well enough. So lots of options for that. Right now I'm leaning toward having straight lines. They may not be absolutely parallel, but having some straight lines, and then in the center do some curved lines. Now, mind you, I have a few of these. I can make more of these if I probably will make more of these. I like them. If I don't like the stitching or want to try something different, of course, I just make another block. That's plenty easy. So I think I'm going with sort of straight lines, but not necessarily parallel lines, and then some curved lines in the center for this block anyway. Then I need to decide on thread color. For the most part, I'm going to do white because I want it to blend into the background. You, of course, are going to see it on the colors, but I want it to sort of merge it with the background. But I do want an accent. So I've pulled couple of spools of rayon that I use for embroidery, and I know you can't see this probably very well on camera, but there's a blue, and then I have 2 choices for green. And of course, I don't know if I'm going to use just one or both of these colors. I'm not sure which green Sorry if you can't really see this. Neither one of them is a perfect match to this green, but I think I want the lighter one. Now, this is going to be a pretty fine line if I just do a regular stitch, so I might, in fact, do a decorative stitch. And since I'm just going edge to edge, I don't have to worry about it being a stitch that doesn't match up at the ends. Oh, if you watched last Wednesday, I did a stitch over an applique curve strip that was kind of a cross stitch. There was also a checkerboard. I wonder if the checkerboard might work going across here. So this stretch doesn't have any green across it. I could do that checkerboard across that in the rayon. So I can get really creative with this. In that case, it pulls some of the attention from the triangles and puts it on the stitch. And that gives a whole new dimension, of course, to all of this, because then this could sort of go into the background and the stitches would then take over as sort of the star. I may or may not want to do that. Well, I can do lots of these, right? So I think I might try that. We'll see how this goes. At any rate, I am going to back this with some stabilizer just because I'm going to be sewing pretty intensely, at least I anticipate that, and it will make less draw up, so I'll hopefully still have a square, not square, but 90-degree angles and parallel sides. Rectangle anyway. So I think I'm going to need this stabilizer. Sorry, my brain is running off in 16 different directions, and I just noticed a bird who's hungry out there who wants bird feed. Have I mentioned that I have a short attention span? All right, so I'm going to get started with just some straight stitches going across here, and I'll probably check back in with you while I'm doing that. As promised, I am checking back with you, and I want to note a few things. This is a learning experience. If it doesn't turn out as it was in my mind's eye, it's okay, because I'm learning some things. First of all, I decided that I really wanted to try to put some stitching at least close to these points of the triangles so that I'm actually adding more stitching than I thought I would. But I'm trying to aim it so that I am catching those, and I have caught some, but not all of them yet. It's not a huge deal, but those will ravel quite a lot, and that may or may not be okay with you. I'm not sure yet if it's okay with me. I originally started out just to do them without overlapping or crossing lines, but in some cases I decided that I really needed to do that or it would start to bunch up. And I didn't like that look, so I did some crossovers, and I actually like that. Perhaps better than where it didn't cross over. I also had to redo my tension for some reason. Looks like I could tighten the bobbin tension a little bit yet, but I'm looking at this, I'm thinking that I might want to shorten the stitch a little bit. Maybe I want to lengthen it. Well, I'll play with that on the next half that I do. And finally, I started to use my stiletto because when I'm coming up to one of these points that are flopping around, I want to have something to secure it that isn't my finger that can be run into. I'd rather have it break a needle running over this than going through my finger. It's just inconvenient to have to stop and go to the ER and, do all that stuff. So I'm going to flip over to this side and do some stitching. I probably have some more to do over here, but I can do that afterwards, after I see how it goes here. So I think I'm going to shorten the stitch to begin with over here. If I don't like that, then I'll lengthen the stitch. And I'll try doing more crossovers over here to see how that looks in comparison to this. So this is turning out to be a test sample. Perfectly good. I have enough of these. So I'm going to do some more stitching with white, and then we'll contemplate what we want to do in the center. Lessons learned on this stretch. I thought I was going to like the tighter stitch, the shorter stitch length, which is right here. I don't like that at all. Then I went back to in between. So this is a 2.5. This is a 1.5. I went to a 2. And then I went to a 3, and I like that. I'm totally surprised. I'm glad I tried it because I like the 3 better. This looks like I'm trying too hard and that somehow my machine is really tight, and I want it to be a little more free looking, and the larger stitches give me that. So that was a surprise to me. I also very much like it better with fewer lines. So this might be okay, better on this side with a larger stitch, and I'm trying to catch every point here, but I think I can do that enough with fewer lines. This just looks like the spool came unraveled. So I'm really liking this better. So I may do some more stitching, but I really like that 3.0 length. I think that 3.5 might be too much. I may do a bit on the edge here just to see, but I'm pretty sure that would be too much. So what I want to do here in the center is just do a couple of lines to tack these down, and then I'll start thinking about, decided on this one, didn't I? What I want to do with the colored threads. So I'm just going to tack these down a little bit with a white stitch, straight line at 3.0. That was just a bit of tacking down with white at 3.0. See, I missed that a little bit, but we'll take care of that, right? So now I'm going to, I think I'm going to start with green. And I may not add blue at all, but I'm going to start with green because I think that's the accent color, because there's just little bits of it in the background. So I'm going to pull that forward a little bit with this color. And I think I'm going to start with just a curved line, but a straight stitch, and see how that looks. If it pretty much disappears, then I'll start thinking about doing a heavier embroidery stitch on it. As I suspected, you can barely see that green. Now, if it's in just the right light and it reflects it correctly, then it will have a little more shine. And there's value to having surprises like that and something to see when your eye gets closer to it. But I would like to have a little more oomph to it. There are a couple of ways I can do that, but I'm going to start out with trying an embroidery stitch going over that. I decided in the end to do a zigzag in green because some of you may not have very many embroidery stitches on your machine. Many machines anyway at least have a zigzag. So this was set at, let me look here, width of 4.0 and length of 1.0, sorry. And I actually like it. I had considered doing and started to do a more intricate embroidery design, and I decided that I didn't like it and it was too much. This is a nice difference in texture, and of course you could see it better than the straight line, but it doesn't steal too much from the rest of it. So I like that idea. Another idea I had was to couch something way back when we were using the kitchen twine. So I pulled out some fibers that I have from Crazy Quilting and needle pointing. You could use yarn, whatever you happen to have. I've got a bunch of stuff, but you could use something else for sure. I kind of like this sparkly green. This is from On the Surface in Willamette. They just have cards with a variety of fibers on them. And then I have some pearl cotton from some needlepoint that I've been working on recently. And then in the blue range, if I decide to do that, I would have to unravel everything and get the parts that are just the blue here, but I don't know that I have a length of that. That's just variegated, so it goes from one color to another, and I don't think I'd have enough in one length to do what I want to do. I'm kind of liking that sparkly green, so I'm going to give that a try. And to couch it, I'm just going to lay it on the surface and then just stitch over it. And I think I'm probably still going to do roughly the same stitch. I'm going to try doing it over here. I don't mind drawing attention away, away from that because I don't like that section particularly well. And we're just going to turn this into a really artsy-fartsy piece, I guess. That's all right. This is not something that probably could be washed or put on a well-used quilt. Another piece that I have here is this Krynic, and it's just a really sparkly, like a thin, I don't know which size this is. It's just like a thin ribbon, 1/16 of an inch. That could be kind of cool too. Gives it a little glitz along with this. That may be too much. You know, I may need to do another one that's got the blue accent. Maybe I'll do another one with this reversed, so the smaller triangles are green. Remember, I have plenty. And the background ones are blue, and then I can use this. I will hop off to my machine and do that, and we'll see how it looks. That has a lot going on, doesn't it? I think perhaps if I had narrowed the stitch so that you didn't see so much of the zigzag, it looks ragged this way. And with couching, I really don't need the stitch to be that short either. I can spread it out and make it narrower, and then the emphasis is more on the braid, I think it's Krynic actually, it may not be. This fiber, I'll just say fiber. Then I think you would see the fiber more than the stitching. This way you see the zigzag more. So I want to try that over here. I'm really liking just this actually. And I'm not sure that I want to do anything over here. My original plan, of course, was just to do this accent color in the center, but this has turned into a just try anything and everything all over the place, which is good. It's good to try things out and see what you like and what you don't like. So I know I don't like all of this extra stitching over here too thick, and I don't like this wide zigzag on that. And since this isn't going to be worn or washed because it's an artsy-fartsy quilt block, then I don't have to be as careful about stitching down every little point and dip. I still might do a little more over here, but I think I'm liking this half better. Do I want that on there? I think I probably want something over here. Whether it's that or not, I don't know. This is a sampler. Let me give this a try with a narrower and shorter stitch. So plenty here, and I probably am going to test it before I do it this time, to be honest. If I can, gosh, somewhere in my life find fabric. I will test that first, and I'll be back, of course. Now, I'm not happy with this because just trying to do a freeform curve where the stitch is that closely tied to the width of the fiber, you can't just wing it and not have it wobbly. So I'm going to take that out. Fortunately, this is a long zigzag stitch, and I'm going to secure this fiber on the curve already, and then I can come back and couch it. Before I show you that finished, I just wanted to show this to you because wouldn't this be fun on some of my Alice pieces? I just did that straight. I was just trying to figure out length and width of that zigzag stitch, but I'm really liking that funky stuff on the black and white. I'm going to have to get some red Krynic. I probably already have some, but wouldn't that be fun running across it? I guess I am doing the modern crazy quilts, aren't I? And here's the piece with that fiber stitched on, and I used a width of 2.0 and a length of 2.0 to do that. It will depend on the fiber that you have and whether or not you like this look. You may like it, the combination of the thread that you use and the fiber that you couch, you may like it that way. This is how I prefer it on this particular piece. And I probably want to stitch a couple more of just the white background. But I'm liking that better. So my preference is for this half, which I want to be on the right side because that's just how my brain works, I guess. And I like this zigzag stitch, and I like this couched bit. I might do another zigzag over here. If I were just looking at just this half of it, I might do another zigzag over here to kind of balance it out and to give me 3 things. So I actually could just cut this piece and probably take those off, and then I would have a piece like that. I am, however, thinking about, can you guess? Slicing and dicing this, because I've really gotten myself on this wide black and white stripe vibe. So I'm thinking if I did something like this, cut it and then put a wide stripe in there. That might be kind of fun. And what better one to cut than one that I don't particularly care for half of it anyway. So, hey, I would probably end up trimming this down anyway, so let's just see what happens if I do that. Hold your breath if this scares you. Now you can breathe. It's done. Now let me find my wide black and white stripe. And see how that looks. Which way do I want it to go? Probably this way. And I might shift things a bit. All right, I cut a strip that's straight. Oh, now you know what? I like that. You knew I would, didn't you? And then I would have to put something here, possibly white, maybe one of these colors, maybe black in one place, white in another. Maybe we'll explore this next time. So that could be way fun. And then of course we have the diagonal stripe. Oh, that's fun too. All right, let's do that next week. We'll play with those next week. Might be able to salvage this piece actually. Then we could do things down there. Okay, we'll do that next week. That will be fun, something to look forward to. So, this is anyway, back to this week. I like this half better. Actually, a little more than half. I think I might do maybe another couple lines of stitching in the white. I like the way that the white sort of ties it in with the background, makes it a part of this white background. You can still see the contrast and they're still floating above, but it grounds them with the background, and then you can have accents on top of that. This side to me that's where we tried out everything, and if we didn't like it, we did it differently over here. So this is a good piece in that it shows what I didn't like. Now, you may have liked this part of it, and this side not so much. To me, this has too much going on, and all of those white lines and intersecting are really pulling away from these triangles. So that becomes overwhelming. Over here, there's less going on to confuse my brain, and it can go to the pieces that I want it to go to, which is first, it's going to be probably this accent piece, then that one, and then it will start to see these triangles in the background. So I like that side. Let me know in the comments what you liked best, what you didn't like, what you would do differently. Just let me know what you think, and we will explore more with this next Sunday. Wednesday, I think I had something in mind, but I can't remember now what it is. We'll get there. We'll see what happens on Wednesday. In the meantime, as always, be well, be happy, be quilting. Peace out.